Saturn in the first house. Saturn in the first house is a placement which a lot of people quite often will feel is difficult to deal with. It is associated with a lot of different things. You know, we can always associate Saturn with physical, spiritual and material problems. But the thing with Saturn is that Saturn gives you problems because he wants to teach you how to solve those problems. So, if Saturn's in the first house, the problems that you're going to have in life, which is standing between you and where you want to go, who you want to be, is yourself. And quite often, it's not a conscious choice. For example, Saturn in the first house can often give you, that delayed growth spurt. In the sense that at a physical level, you matured into the person that you wanted to become, that you had to become a little late. Women can take a little while to get developed. Men can probably be, quite frail, quite slim early on in their life. It's later on in their life that they learn how to be secure about their body image, their self-concept. Early on, Saturn in first house people, they have it rough because Saturn gives you way too many responsibilities than you can handle. These can even be responsibilities, they may well be responsibilities that have to do with your own health. Okay? But the beauty of Saturn is that the lessons of Saturn are irreversible. Once you have understood what Saturn wants to teach you, once you have worked with how Saturn wants you to work, especially if you are ruled by a Saturn-based nakshatra, Anuradha, Uttar Bhadrapada, Pushya, or you have, an important nakshatra placement on the ascendant that belongs to Saturn. In Saturn Mahadasha, Saturn Dasha, this is the theme that is going to be most prominent, that there is a lesson, there is a challenge in your life. That challenge in your life is associated with a lesson that you need to learn. Once you master it, you cannot go back. That door is shut. You have mastered it, you can move forward. So, Virat Kohli, one of the greatest ODI batsmen in the world, ex-captain of the Indian cricket team, he has this placement. And Warren Buffett as well has this placement. I used to think that Warren Buffett, he has his Saturn influencing the second house. There is a little bit of influence of Saturn on his second house as well, because, space is three-dimensional. You don't have 12 rooms in which you just put planets. It doesn't work like that. Okay, it's three-dimensional. So yes, primarily Saturn influences his ascendant. There's a little bit of influence on the second house as well, if you look at it from the sidereal perspective. Beautiful people who almost look like they never get old, they also can have Saturn in the first house. For example, the evergreen singer Cher, she looks so beautiful even at 72. Many 30, 40 years old, people will be put to shame. Also, Monica Bellucci, one of the hottest, most beautiful sirens of all time. I think she's also in her late 60s. She also has Saturn in the first house. So Saturn actually in the first house, if you are disciplined with Saturn, if you are willing to work with Saturn, he can make you alone. Yes. But that loneliness doesn't necessarily mean you'll be alone, as in you won't have a life partner, or you'll have to physically be alone. Quite often, the wiser you are, in fact not quite often, always, the wiser you are, the lonelier you feel. Because even the people closest to you are not able to match up to you intellectually. They don't have the level of depth, in their life experiences, words, thoughts, as you might have as a result of having a tough life that has imparted a lot of wisdom. Okay? But Saturn gives you a lot of physical success in the material realm, Money, assets, fame, reputation, Saturn can do that. And that happens with working hard. When Saturn's in the first house, his job is to make you work hard, whichever way he can. Depending on the nakshatra placement, depending on Saturn's placement in the divisional charts, depending on the aspects, but mainly the nakshatra placements and Saturn's placements in the divisional charts, you can see how he's going to make you work hard. Will it be in your career, or is it going to be on yourself, or is it going to be because, you have absent parents? So Saturn in the first house can do all sorts of things, it can indicate towards all sorts of things, I would say. Not having parents, or growing up with a lot of responsibilities, having health problems, having debt, or just being born in a community that is very conservative and you're very, expressive and creative, but you feel that restriction from all ends on who you want to be, who you can be. Whichever way it is, the reason you have been given these difficulties by Saturn is because Saturn wants you to learn and master a lesson here, and after that, these problems stop affecting you. For example, if health is the problem, this actually happened in case of Virat Kohli. He shared in his fitness journey that the reason that he became so fit, the reason that he focused so much on his fitness, is because his health wasn't always the best. He had a tendency to put on weight. He had a tendency to, develop some diseases, he was told by his doctor. And so, genetic problems that run in the family. And so he decided to become fit, and also that would enable him to go further in his career as an athlete. So you see where it started and what it resulted in. Virat Kohli is like a fitness maniac today. We associate that man with fitness. That's how fit he is. In the same way, if you take the example of Warren Buffett, you study Warren Buffett's life. It's been a very disciplined, very frugal life. He still lives in the same house, I think, that he owns in Omaha. He still lives there. He has all the money in the world. If Mukesh Ambani can build himself an Antilla, Warren Buffett can build himself anything. Right? But he doesn't do that. He lives a very frugal, very studious, very structured, very disciplined life. So there is this, conscious or unconscious karma involved on being very disciplined and working very hard that is associated with Saturn in the ascendant. If you have this placement, there is nothing that you cannot do in this world. You are capable of being anything, doing anything, achieving anything, but within the restrictions that you have. That's the lesson here. That's what you have to learn to function in. If this placement is giving you difficulties in Saturn's Mahadasha period or Saturn's Antardasha period or by way of transit, then you are not understanding what your restrictions are. You are not playing well with the handicaps that you have as a result of the physical experience being restrictive. The soul is boundless, but the body has limitations. The Atman is everywhere and nowhere at the same time because it's a reflection of the Paramatman. The body, though, cannot be in two places at once. It can only be at one place at once. It can only do the things that you train it to do. It can only function within the restrictions of its surroundings. Okay? So, this experience is very heightened with Saturn. With Saturn, you feel very tangibly what is lacking in your life. The thing that you need to do is you need to not focus on that. Because as long as you're focusing on the problems of your life with this placement, it's not going to help you move further. To move further, the only thing that you can do is you can work with the restrictions and understand it as a sign from destiny, sign from God, sign from the universe, sign from Saturn, whatever. Saturn doesn't work by rewarding you with, oh my God, you did a great thing, here, take this cookie. No. He shows you the way by shutting doors. That's why he's Saturn. He teaches you in a strict, no-nonsense fashion. Because he wants to make you perfect. He wants to make you great. How do you become great? You become great when you know that this is not to be done because the price to be paid for this mistake is massive. That's how you become great. Okay? So I'd like to share an interesting example here of Yuvraj Singh. I don't know, I've not seen his chart, I'm just remembering. Possibly he has Saturn somewhere. Wait, let me check out where he has his Saturn. No, he doesn't have Saturn placed in his ascendant. He has Saturn placed in round about the 7th or 8th house cusp. Okay, so, however, with Yuvraj Singh, there's this interesting story that early on, when his father Yogaraj Singh was training him to be a cricketer, because he was coached by his father, his father used to train him with the heavier ball that you use in hockey, and it's tough, it's solid, and it can really sting, it can really hurt. And so that's how he used to ball to his son to teach him not to miss. Can you believe it? So we should look at Yogaraj Singh's example probably, in his chart. Yogaraj Singh, the way that he was with his son, that's the embodiment of how Saturn is as a teacher. So he's always going to be closing doors for you. Anytime with this placement that things are not going well, that you're trying excessively, what you need to do is you need to make a thorough assessment of whether or not you are approaching that thing from a perspective of ego or from a perspective of alignment with your purpose. Because quite often what happens is Saturn works in two ways. He will delay things, he will make it tough for you to get some things that he really wants you to be great at, and he is going to stop you from things that are for the latter part of your life that he doesn't want you to focus on right now. Okay? That's just the code that your soul agreed to before manifesting in this lifetime. That's what works for it. So you have to focus on the things that you see are highly consistent, coming from a very clear and a very clean, a very, matter of fact way from within when you want to work with the energy of Saturn in the first house. If you try to approach things from a perspective of ego, Saturn in the first house is going to break your ego. He's going to do everything to break your ego. You have to be humble with this energy. Okay, you have to be humble, you have to be studious. If things are not happening, probably there is a logical reason for it. Maybe you lack knowledge, because Saturn from the first house, it influences the third house. And in the third house, what Saturn is doing, he is making you work hard for your self-efforts. Because Saturn has three aspects, right? The third, the seventh, and 10th. So from the first house, he's aspecting the third house. The third house is the house of your talents, of your communication, of courage, of efforts, of siblings, of peers. From the first house, Saturn is going to suppress these things a little bit. He's going to make you work hard on your own for them instead. People with this placement often do not have a lot of support from their peers, from their friends, from their colleagues. Somehow, for some reason or other, people tend to not like them. Maybe because they're too disciplinarian and too serious, making other people look bad. Could be that. Okay. But Saturn here also gives you the ability to work hard for whatever you want, for whatever you believe in. You just have to tap into it, because superior ability is narrow in nature. You cannot be an expert at everything. You can only be an expert at one thing, maybe two. Okay? So here what you need to understand is you need to play with your natural expertise, and you need to hone that, and you need to work with that. At least early on in life. Because there is some karma attached with it, because there's Saturn. After the age of 35, when Saturn releases his grasp on you, what you can then do is you can start developing that energy in the way you want. The process will remain the same, right? See, if you can work hard in an area that you don't really like, but you want to, because you want to set yourself a foundation to move forward, it's aligned with your purpose. Definitely. But it's not exactly it. It will take you where you want to go, but it will demand things of you. It will demand effort. It will demand time. It will demand probably working hard and getting less pay. You don't have to shy away from that, because with this placement, Saturn in the first house, it can just as easily cause unemployment, joblessness, divorce, because as long as you're running away from what you know you need to do because it hurts, Saturn's going to find 1,000 ways to hurt you. Which brings me to the next aspect, Saturn influencing the 7th house. Saturn influencing the 7th house will, quite literally give you problems in all relationships in life if you're not being authentic. If you're not being authentic with respect to what you want to do in terms of your life, your skills, your life path, what makes you happy, if you're just putting on a face for people, for others, if you're just, if you're unable to put up boundaries with others, if you're unable to put in the effort that is involved to keep relationships going no matter what they are, Saturn is just not going to give you any luck in that area. In fact, it might even cause enmity between you and your spouse or other people, your relationships, your partners, business partners or colleagues, things like that. Other people may not like you as an individual. So that is something that you also have to keep in mind with Saturn placement in the first. Okay. Then Saturn aspects the 10th house. And Saturn's 10th house aspect, his 10th aspect is a very strong aspect. This is the aspect where Saturn is truly making you work hard for something. He's truly putting a lot of challenges in front of you because he wants to teach you how to be good at it. So people with Saturn in first house, they can go through spells of joblessness, unemployment, don't really know what's happening in life and all of that, living in deception. That, oh no, I don't have a job because people don't care for my skills. No, I'm not getting a good opportunity because of this, because of that, because the economy and all of that. You can keep telling this bullshit story as long as you want. I'm sorry, with Saturn. Ultimately, you grow out of it, and when you do, it does really well. Because you understand, if you have to survive, even if you have to live in this material plane, you have to work. You cannot run away from that. And if you want to live out of society, if you want to live in the jungle, that is also a lot of work. Fetching water, making a fire, hunting for food, gathering food, protecting yourself from the elements, from wild animals and all that. Effort is required if you want to live. Material plane, you gotta work. That's what Saturn's teaching you here. So, over here, if you try to cut corners in your place of work, if you try to take things easy in your place of work, if you become complacent, it'll happen, maybe you got a good job right after MBA, let's say, you got a good job and you're relaxing. No, that cannot work with Saturn. Probably for somebody else, they can coast through life, not with Saturn. Saturn wants to make you great. So, I would say that the biggest lesson here with Saturn in the first house in terms of your life purpose, in terms of your destiny, is you understanding that the only limitation is you. Okay? If you believe that you can do something and you apply yourself to prove to yourself that you can do it, there is nothing that you cannot achieve with this placement in any area of your life, because these are the three main things. If you look at Saturn placed in the ascendant, sure, in the ascendant Saturn is called debilitated because the ascendant corresponds to the natural sign of Aries, but Saturn, if you put him there, he will make you a king, a humble king, somebody who's great. Because look, what is required in life? Third house, communication, skills, courage. 7th house, a knack for relationships and balance. 10th house, work. Saturn sitting in the ascendant is going to make you work in all three areas. Any person who can master these three areas can do anything in the Mrityu Loka. Anything. From becoming a rocket scientist to becoming a top shot business honcho, as I gave you the examples, to becoming an ageless, timeless beauty. Okay? One thing that can definitely help you out with this placement is if you can, every Saturday lie prostrate, Dandvat Pranam in front of Saturn's idol, it will give you a lot of balance in life. Root chakra meditation can be great for you. It will be very helpful for you if you have this placement. Also, what else works here? No, please don't ask me, can I wear Neelam or not? Can I wear blue sapphire or not? Saturn is a very practical planet. If you really want to strengthen Saturn in your chart, start wearing black. Okay, that is how you will see the power of Saturn. Start wearing black, start wearing a watch always. That is enough to take care of Saturn. You don't need to wear all of those things, you know, blue sapphire or any other stone. Yeah, and worshipping goddess Kali, chanting her mantra, her Bij mantra, and worshipping goddess Kali can also help you a lot. So you can just visit her temple every Saturday and ask for blessings, because she is the ruling deity of Saturn. Saturn is also ruled by, I mean, that is at a tantric level, but in terms of the regular devas, if we talk about, Saturn is the devotee of Vishnu, because the Ishtadev of planet Saturn is Vishnu. So praying to Vishnu as well can be great, bring you a lot of mental peace. Meditation can be good for you, but above all of those things, exercise at a practical level is going to be the most beneficial for you, because Saturn in the first house can give problems associated with the bones, the spine, muscles, stiffness, bloating. It can give you an excess of Vata dosh in your body. Okay, so that can cause problems related to bloating, strange aches and pains, etc. The easiest thing to do here is to be very disciplined about your diet and your routines, and to exercise every day. Even if you're walking every day for 3 to 5 kilometers, you know, that's great. That's a great exercise with Saturn. But more than even all of that, the placement Saturn in the first house demands that you work hard. That's it. Work hard. Work hard on yourself, work hard on your life, work hard on your finances, work hard on your marriage, work hard on your career. Hard. That's it. You got to work hard. Sleep less, lose a few kilos, especially during Saturn Mahadasha, because Saturn in the first house wants to give you kasht. He wants to give kasht to the physical body. Therefore, the best thing is to volunteer for that kasht before it is given to you. Right? That's a lot better, because you have to burn off that karma. So if your soul has chosen to be born with the placement of Saturn in the first, that means your soul has chosen to lead a very disciplined life, to become great at something. Your soul has opted to have a conscious control over your destiny, your life path. So nothing in your life is going to move unless you make it move. Nothing is going to happen unless you make it happen. You have to be grounded, you have to be focused, and you have to be structured at all times with this placement. Okay? That's the lesson here. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel so that you never miss all the wonderful content that I post here. I post a lot of different kinds of content here. Life coaching, Vedic astrology, and such. And push the bell icon so you'll be notified every single time I post. If you want a personal session with me, you can check out the link given in the description box. It'll take you to my website. You can fill out the form. I will allot you an appointment as soon as I can. Thank you so much. Take care. Hari Om.